Well, we're back. A few more weeks left until the NFL season starts, and I wanted to do another predictions video, but I didn't want to do predictions for every team individually because that takes up a little bit too much of my time, and I've been focusing on a lot of stuff. You're going to see a lot of sports as well as writing stuff on this channel because I have a book coming out. It's coming out November 1st. There'll be more information on that as we go along. But I wanted to get into the NFL and talk about what I think is going to happen this year. And I got pretty close. I had the Chiefs winning it last year, or I had them making the AFC title game, and, well, they won the Super Bowl. My 49ers got to the Super Bowl. They didn't do so well, obviously, in the fourth quarter. But with that being said, let's get going. For the AFC North, I have the Steelers and the Ravens finishing tied, and I'm going to give you the reason why I have the Steelers winning the division based on the tiebreaker. I really like the Steelers' defense. That defense is really legitimate, and I think with Ben Roethlisberger coming back, that Steelers' offense is going to be back to normal, or as normal as they can be, and the defense is going to be there to help them stabilize games. And I think because of that, they're going to be able to get the edge on the Ravens. I still am really high on the Ravens. I really like Lamar Jackson, and I stand corrected. I did not think he was a great quarterback at the beginning of last year. I will proudly admit I was wrong about that, and I'm really glad to see him do well last year, and I expect him to keep getting better and better and better. But I think the Ravens will lose a few games that they would have won last year, and they'll make the playoffs as a wild card this year. I have no faith in the Browns. They're so dysfunctional. They have to go out there and show it before I believe they're going to do anything. Bengals are rebuilding, and a recurring theme here is that if you did bad last year, I'm not expecting much this year, especially because of the COVID-19 restrictions. It was really difficult for a lot of teams to get going in camp and get together with the form that chemistry that you would need. So I think if you were a bad team last year, it's going to be really difficult to go from worst to first this year. In the AFC South, I have the Indianapolis Colts winning the division on a tiebreaker. I like Philip Rivers. I mean, I like him as well as I can like him. I think he's going to be a jolt over Jacoby Brissett. And I also really like the addition of DeForest Buckner. He's going to provide the pass rusher that they were lacking. And I think they're going to win a division based on the tiebreaker with the Titans, who they've gone 9-7 like the last 3 years. I think they're going to go 9-7 again. Texans, I think they're going to bottom out and miss the playoffs this year. They're going to go 8-8. Jaguars 3-13. I don't think the Jaguars are a great team at all. In fact, I think they are in contention for the number one pick next year based on the disarray that's going. A lot of Bills fans were not really happy with me last year because I did not pick them to do really well, and I'm high on them now. I really like Sean McDermott. I think he's a great coach, and I think Josh Allen has the potential to be a really solid quarterback. He's an awesome runner. He threw for 20 touchdowns and 9 interceptions last year. I think if he can improve on those numbers, then the Bills, the sky's the limit for them. I think they win the division based on the running game and based on the defense, and I think the Patriots are going to go 8-8 because despite having the greatest coach in NFL history, they don't have much talent on their side aside from a few pieces on defense. Julian Edelman. The Dolphins, just like I said in the beginning of the video, if you were a really bad team last year, it's going to be really difficult to get up to that upper echelon spot this year, and I think it's going to be that way for them. They're at least a year away from contending. The New York Jets have already had a few players opt out of the season, and I think that's going to affect them as well. I have them going 6-10 this year, missing the playoffs again, and Adam Gase is probably going to get fired eventually. The Super Bowl champion Kansas City Chiefs, I have them going 12-4, and I think they're going to lose a couple games that they probably would have won last year. I still think they're an amazing team, and they're going to be a threat in the playoffs. The Las Vegas Raiders is the only team I have that didn't make the playoffs last year that makes the playoffs this year. I think the Raiders take that next step this year and win some games that otherwise they would have lost. I still believe in John Gruden. I have the Broncos going 8-8, and I don't have the Chargers doing. I have the Chargers going 6-10. I just don't have any faith in those teams. They have to go out on the field and show it, and right now I don't have strong faith in their teams. In the NFC, I have the Vikings going 11-5, winning that division because I still think, despite losing Stephon Diggs, they are the best team in that division. I still think Kirk Cousins is good enough to propel them to the playoffs. Kirk Cousins seems to win a lot of games in the regular season. It's the playoffs where he tends to struggle, with the exception of last year when he went into New Orleans and led that victory over the Saints. But otherwise, Cousins has struggled in the playoffs and against good teams and against teams on Monday Night Football. But I do have the Vikings winning the division this year. I think Green Bay takes a step back, and I believe a lot of people are going to agree with me on this, that the Packers won a lot of games that they would not have won last year. A lot of things went their way. I think the Packers still have the potential to be a great team down the line, but when they got beat down by the 49ers twice, that showed a lot of weaknesses. They're not going to be able to stop a lot of teams that they probably would have stopped last year. I have them going 9-7 and making the playoffs barely, based on the tiebreaker with the Chicago Bears. Bears are 9-7. The Bears need to prove that they can score for me to actually believe that they can win that division again. Their defense was not as dominating last year. They were finished in the 20s in terms of sacks. And when you have Khalil Mack on your team and you still can't lead the league in sacks, that shows that you need a lot more help than him, despite Mack being an amazing pass rusher. The Detroit Lions, I don't have them doing well. 3-13 this year. They're at least 2 years away from contending. I have no faith in this coach. I have no faith in anybody on that team aside from Matt Stafford. The New Orleans Saints, I have them winning the division at 12-4, and I have them locking up the number 1 seed in the NFC. I think that's going to help them a lot in the playoffs. I have Tom Brady leading the Bucs to the playoffs for the first time in 13 years. I am very low on the Atlanta Falcons. I have them at 5-11. They just have a terrible head coach, and that 1-7 start showed me last year that he's not the right coach for them, but he saved his job, and that's gonna come back to bite them this year. I have the Carolina Panthers stumbling and losing 13 games this year. They're rebuilding, so that's to be expected. If you're the Carolina Panthers, they're gonna be back to the high-ranking selves in a few years, but they're 3-13. The NFC East like to rotate division winners every other year between the Cowboys and the Eagles. I have the Cowboys at 11-5. That offense is explosive. You have Michael Gallup, you have Amari Cooper, and now you have CeeDee Lamb. That is a powerful receiver group. And you have Dak Prescott, who also is improving as a quarterback. And, of course, Ezekiel Elliott, one of the best running backs in football. So the Cowboys win that division. I think the Eagles take another step back. Well, it's not really a step back since they also won 9 games last year. But the NFC is really good. So I have them missing the playoffs based on the virtue of that. They're going to win 9 games, and it won't be enough this year. The New York Giants are still in rebuilding mode. They're going to go 5-11, but they will win some games that they would not have won last year. I do have them winning a game in Philadelphia against the Eagles, which they almost did last year, but they lost in overtime. Redskins, I have them winning 4 games only based on the fact that Ron Rivera is their new head coach, and I like him. But the Redskins have, excuse me. The Washington football team. Yeah, the Washington football team has such little talent. They have Chase Young, probably one of the greatest prospects in history. And what else is there? There isn't much. They have Alex Smith coming back, and that actually terrifies me because Alex Smith is coming back to a team that has nothing to protect them with. So I wish him well, and I wish them well. I just don't have faith in the Redskins. The 49ers, I have them winning the division again at 12-4. They're going to lose another game more than last year. I still think they're a great team. They're one of the elite teams. They lost to Forrest Buckner in the offseason, but we'll see how Drake Kinlaw does. And I think that their talent and their coaching is good enough to win that division again. Seahawks will go 10-6. Russ Wilson gives them a few wins that they wouldn't get. I have Arizona improving. They're going to go 7-9. They're not ready yet, though. That defense is terrible, and they have to fix a lot of that if they want to get anywhere. The LA Rams are going to take another step back. They're going to go 5-11. They're in salary cap hell right now, so I don't have faith in the Rams getting anywhere. For the playoff predictions, I have the Ravens going to Indy, and Lamar Jackson gets his first playoff win. And the reason why I have the Ravens winning a playoff game this year If you've ever noticed about the Ravens and the John Harbaugh teams, they tend to do better on the road than they do at home in the playoffs, which is an odd statistic since during the regular season they do better at home than on the road. I think that they're going to be able to go into Indianapolis and take out the Colts, especially if there aren't any fans yet, which hopefully there are fans, but due to COVID-19, there might not be fans yet. I have the Steelers beating the Titans at home in the playoffs. I have the Bills getting that playoff victory and taking down the Las Vegas Raiders. On the NFC side, I have the Dallas Cowboys eliminating Tom Brady from the playoffs. I have the Vikings eliminating the Seahawks based on the fact that they're at home, and I think that Dalvin Cook and Kirk Cousins will be enough to take out the Seahawks defense. I have the 49ers once again rolling over the Green Bay Packers. So with that said, we go to the division round. In the division round, I have the Bills taking down the Steelers in a showdown in Orchard Park, New York. I have the Ravens completing the upset of the century, beating Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs. The Chiefs lose their Super Bowl repeat hopes against the Ravens. I have the 49ers rolling over the Minnesota Vikings. I have the New Orleans Saints taking down the Dallas Cowboys. And in the NFC title game, in the conference championship games, I have the Ravens winning in Orchard Park. I have the Saints beating the 49ers. And finally, in the Super Bowl, I have the New Orleans Saints finishing it off and beating the Baltimore Ravens. So there you go. I have the New Orleans Saints behind Drew Brees, Alvin Kamara, Michael Thomas, Emmanuel Sanders, and a defense led by Cam Jordan, winning the Super Bowl over Lamar Jackson, who almost gets it, but just falls short. I believe that Drew Brees will retire after winning the Super Bowl, and next year Jameis Winston will take his place as quarterback, and I believe that Lamar Jackson has the tools to lead the Ravens to the Super Bowl this year, even if his stats are not up to par as last year. Do you agree with my picks for the season? Let me know in the comments whether you agree or disagree. Let me know who you think will win the Super Bowl, who you think will make the playoffs or win every division. Let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear from you. Like, share, and subscribe. And also stay tuned for more sports content as well as writing content. And I'll let you know more about my book, which is a fiction drama.